Hey guys, as you can see, I've got all my palettes laid out here. I didn't know how to film this because my studio is pretty cramped up at the moment, so this is pretty much just the best thing for me to do, is sit on the couch and film this video. So I'm sorry if you can see my feet, or you really can't, but let's just disregard that. So as you can see, I'm going to be filming my eyeshadow declutter video. Now I'm just going to say I'm a makeup hoarder. I've been buying palettes since I was pretty much 18 years old. So a lot of these are really old in my collection, but like I said, I am a hoarder when it comes to makeup. So I can't guarantee that I'm going to be throwing out a lot or giving them away. I've literally spent a lot of money on these palettes, so it doesn't mean that I'm still using them on my eyes. It just means that they've got a lot of meaning to me and I genuinely don't have the heart to throw it out. So I'm going to try and do my best, but I'm just going to see how I go. So I'm just going to start off with the ones on the top here. The first one is the Stila in the Light palette. So this was pretty much one of my first ever eyeshadow palettes that I did buy. I used to love the shade Kitten. Of course, everybody did. So I pretty much use this a lot. I used to use this a lot. I don't use it now as much. But I don't think I can just give it away because I've had this for like, I want to say 5 years now. So that's the first one. The eyeshadow palettes that I'm going to consider giving away, I'm just going to put them over on this side here, and then the ones that I'm going to keep are going to go on this side here. So this setup probably wasn't the smartest idea, but like I said, I don't have much room. So the next one is this Tarte palette. So I can't remember when I got this, but it's called the Pinup Girl 12-Hour Blush Palette. It was for one of the Christmas collections that came out. I think I've only used this once or twice, but as much as I hate the packaging of this palette, I don't have the heart to throw it away. So I think I'm just going to keep this one for a little bit longer. The next one is this Sportsgirl palette. It's called Everything's Rosy. Yeah, Everything's Rosy, and it's just a eye and cheek palette, which looks like this. I remember I bought this to film a first impressions, and that's pretty much all I did, was just film a first impressions on it. I never ever reach for this, so I think I'm just going to attempt to give this away. From what I did use of this palette, it was actually really good. I remember I did a look using, yeah, I think it was these 3 colors here, 4 colors, whatever it may be. I really like this palette, but I'm not going to keep it. The next one is this Sportsgirl on the Glow palette. This is the Mesmerizing palette. So it's pretty much just like holographic highlighters, you know, stuff with like blue, greens and all of that. I think I've only ever swatched this. I haven't even used it on my face, but I've seen a lot of girls use these kind of eyeshadows as like inner corner highlights, or even like an eyeshadow. So I'm gonna be keeping this one even though I don't use it. The next palette I'm going to talk about is the Tarte palette. I'm sure you guys know how much I hate this palette. I still don't have the heart to give it away though, because like I said, I've spent a lot of money on my makeup collection and it's just not something that I'm going to give away. This palette has just, it's only just got pretty packaging, to be honest. Like I don't really ever reach for it. so I'm just gonna pop it away in the maybe I'll give it away pile. The next palette is the MAC Mischief Minx palette. This I bought I think a year ago or something, and I love this palette. This is not going anywhere. This is a great neutral palette from what you can see, and it's also got a really beautiful bronze highlight here. I have a tutorial using this. It actually got so many views, so I'm definitely going to leave that linked down below for you guys to watch, and I'm pretty sure they still sell this palette. So if you guys do like it, I think this is a great MAC palette to buy. It's pretty much a great neutral palette with a lot of beautiful, really like really nice shimmery lid shades. What is going on with this camera? The next palette I'm going to talk about is the Kylie by Belle palette from BH Cosmetics. This is again another palette that I just don't reach for. It's pretty, but it's just nothing amazing. Like, it's very chalky. I just bought it to really support Kylie, but I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to throw it out though. It's still pretty cute. I mean, I may reach for it again one day, so I'm just gonna keep that one. The next palette I'm gonna talk about is this Becca, Chloe and Malika Best Friends palette. This is a stunning face palette. This is still new to my collection, so this one's not going anywhere. The next palette is the Loreal Pro palette. Oh my god, do you guys remember when this came out? I do not even like cool toned eyeshadows. I do not understand why I would even buy this. I mean, it's got some really beautiful colors. These lid shades are stunning. So is this color, that one, and the plum one. It's a beautiful palette. I just don't ever reach for cool tone, so I don't know why I even spent the money on this. But this brand was all the rave back in the day when eyeshadow palettes weren't that big, and yeah. So with this one, I think I still want to keep it. I don't know, I may pull it out to do like a tutorial. I know a lot of people still do own this palette, so yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. The next palette is the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. This is a really nice contour and highlight palette. As you can see, I really like these two shades. I still use this. I just think I need to bring it out of my collection instead of storing it in the drawers, because then I tend to forget about it. So I'm definitely going to keep this one because I still do like to use it. I mean, I know some of these palettes might be expired. Well, actually not might be. I'm pretty sure they are, because this one says 12 months. But I mean, who really replaces their palettes every year? I'm not going to go out and buy this palette again when I've already got it. So I'm just going to keep it and use it until I finish it. In saying that, if you guys are using palettes and it's literally causing reactions on your face, I think it's time to throw it out. None of these palettes have caused any reactions on my face, so I still keep them. The next one, I will literally never throw this out. This is the Amrezy collab with Anastasia. I'm pretty sure if I was to sell this palette, a lot of people would want to pay a good amount of price for it, because she is the queen of makeup. This girl right here. So I remember how excited I was when I first ordered this palette. It's literally just a bunch of Anastasia eyeshadows that are in their original collection. So if you ever wanted to recreate this palette, you totally can by just buying the shades. It's such a beautiful everyday kind of palette. I love these 4 colors here. I still sometimes reach for this because I really like Morocco and Caramel. This is definitely expired. I mean, it's literally says 6 months on it, but I still reach for it. I think it's a great palette, and this is just a collector's item. I'm not going to throw it out anywhere. The next Anastasia palette I'm going to talk about is the Anastasia Shadow Couture palette. This is another one that I was really excited for. It's pretty much got the same colors as the Amrezy palette. It's just a little bit different, but this is another one I'm going to keep because you can't buy these palettes anymore. They were limited edition, but yeah, it's not going anywhere. I love this palette. I mean, I never reach for this blue or even the purple, but I think it's a great neutral palette. The next palette is the Sportsgirl I Shaded Smoky Eyeshadow palette. Again, I bought this when I was working at Sportsgirl to do like a Sportsgirl makeup tutorial. I really did like it at the time, but again, I'm not a big cool toned makeup person, so I am going to be giving this one away. I mean, it's got cute packaging, but I just don't reach for it. So out of all those palettes we've been through, I'm only giving away 4. We'll talk about this palette next. This is the Morphe 350 palette. I remember all the hype for this when it first came out. It's a beautiful warm toned orange palette. I mean, realistically, the only orange tones are here, and then that one there, and that one, and everything else is pretty much brown. I look at this palette now and I'm like, wow, how did this get so popular? All of these colors are literally the same thing, but 1 or 2 shades different. So you definitely can find a better version of this palette, but it's not going anywhere because I still use it. I used it the other day for the orange shades, and I love Morphe palettes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. The next eyeshadow I'm going to show you is the Sportsgirl I Shaded palette. This is the Burgundy Shadow palette. I'm definitely going to be keeping this one because I do like the shades in it. It's got really beautiful neutral shades, so this one is not going anywhere. The next palette is my Z palette that I've put together. This is definitely not going anywhere. I just wanted to show it to you guys. It's got a, what is this? A blush from Makeup Geek, and then pretty much just a variety of eyeshadows from Colorpop, Makeup Geek, MAC, and that's about it. And this is pretty much my everyday palette. I always reach for this. I think it's beautiful. It's just neutral. It's just all shades that I've put together myself, and that one's definitely not going anywhere. The next palette is this little elf palette. I did a eyeshadow look on this as well. It got so many views. It's one of my very old tutorials from like 4 years ago, but I remember how popular this was when it first came out. This is the Prism palette, so it's just got a bunch of neutral shimmery shades. Literally every shade is shimmery. There's absolutely no mattes in this palette. That is it there, if you guys can see. I'm just going to rub that on my pants. To be honest, I don't ever use this, so I'm definitely going to give that away. I mean, it was a cute palette to have, but you don't need it when you've got pretty much all of this. The next palette is the Sportsgirl On The Glow palette as well. This was a really beautiful highlight palette. I was obsessed with it for a long time. I'm not ready to give it up. It's still really nice to use. It's a bit powdery, but it looks really nice on the skin. And I don't think anyone would want this used palette anyway, so I'm just going to put it back in my collection. The next palette I'm going to talk about is this MAC x9 palette. This is the Burgundy x9. I remember when I bought this, oh, I was so excited. It's so tiny now, like just looking at it, it's so small. Like just comparing it to a average eyeshadow, you can literally see the size difference of a eyeshadow. So I mean, I'm definitely going to keep it because this cost a lot of money. Well, not a lot, but at the time it was a lot of money. I may not use for it, I may not reach for it anymore, but I still like to have it in my collection. The next one is a OG. This is never ever ever going in the bin. This is the Urban Decay Naked palette. This was the first ever eyeshadow palette that I bought with my own money. I never ever use it. I haven't used it in about 4 years, I want to say, but this is the palette that started it all, and it's definitely not going anywhere. The next palette I'm going to talk about is the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette, which looks like this. This does nothing for me. The only two shades that I really like are these two, but I don't want to throw it out because I feel like I'm going to want it one day. I'm going to want to use it one day, and I'm not ready to give up on it just yet. So I'm going to put this back in my collection. I'm sorry guys, I thought I would be getting rid of a lot of palettes today, but I just have a hard time of letting things go. I can't. You guys need to understand, this is money and a palette is not cheap. The next palette is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. Looks like this. This is still pretty much new to my collection. This is not going anywhere. I love this palette. I think it's beautiful. If you are going to spend your money on a Huda palette, this one is the one to go with. Do not waste your money on the Rose Gold palette, which is the one I'm going to talk about next. I fucking hate this palette, but I'm not going to throw it out because it costs bloody $60 or $70. So I'm definitely going to keep it. I mean, I still like using the neutral shades on the bottom. And I recently started watching Makeup by Jah, J-A-H, and she uses this palette a lot in her tutorials, especially the black and the neutrals. So it re-inspired me to pull it out again. So yeah, this one's not going anywhere for a little bit, even though I do fucking hate the palette. The next palette I'm going to talk about is the Morphe Brushes Jaclyn Hill palette. So this is the first ever... Wait. Jaclyn Hill. Yeah, this is the first palette Jaclyn Hill ever collabed with Morphe Brushes. That threw me off for a second. I thought it was a different palette. I do not use it, to be honest. Like, I never ever use it, but I'm still going to keep it anyway because I do like the colors in it. I don't think it's a palette that I need to throw out. I mean, if I just pulled it out once in a while, I would definitely still use it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the eyeshadows. Like, this color is so beautiful, these three colors. So I might actually leave this one on my vanity and try use it in a tutorial soon. And yeah. The next palette I'm going to talk about is my custom made Buxom palette. So this is when the customized eyeshadows came out. So you pretty much just bought the packaging and then you chose what eyeshadows you wanted. So I made a really nice like neutral palette out of it, and I really do like the colors that I chose. I mean, I've got these same shades in every other palette that you've seen this far, but I'm not going to throw it out because I remember this was pretty pricey to bring together. And yeah, I'm just going to keep this one. The next palette is the BH Cosmetics Galaxy Chic palette, which looks like this. This was my first ever colourful palette, and I only bought it because Carly Bivell used it in a tutorial and I really liked it then. I never ever use it, but I'm not ready to throw it away. I still think it's a really nice palette to have, and I love the baked look of it, and I think it's just really cute to have in my collection. So this one's definitely not going anywhere. The next palette is the BH Cosmetics Nude Blush palette. This is still really new to my collection. To be honest, I've only used it once because I keep forgetting about it because I'm so obsessed with my Benefit Cheek palette. So I'm just going to obviously keep this one still because it's still brand new. The next palette is the Colorpop Sweet Talk. This is still brand new. I'm in love. I've done 2 tutorials already using this palette, so I'll link them down below so you guys can watch. This palette is never ever going anywhere. Never. The next palette is another Morphe palette. This is the 35B palette. Let me just open it. This one looks like this. It's a beautiful colorful palette, and this one is definitely not going anywhere. I'm pretty sure I heard that they were going to discontinue it, and that's why they brought out the James Charles palette, but you can still definitely buy this one on the website. It hasn't been discontinued this far, so yeah, definitely keeping this one. Next palette is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar, which looks like this. I never ever reach for this, but it smells so good that I just can't throw it away. The next one is another Too Faced palette, and this is the Peanut Butter and Jelly palette, which looks like this. This is super cute, and it's definitely not going anywhere because I love this palette. I love these neutral shades. This shade right here, Peanut Brittle, is really pretty as well all over the lid. I may not reach for it as often, but it's such a cute palette that it's definitely not going to go in the bin. Or to anyone else, really. Next palette is the Modern Renaissance. This is definitely not going anywhere. My Cheek Leader Benefit palette, definitely not going anywhere. My Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, definitely not going anywhere. I fucking love this palette. If you guys do not have it and you're in the, you know, you're looking for a really nice neutral palette with some color, this is the perfect one to go for. I'm always using this, and I think it's such a great palette to have in your collection. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Colorpop Soul palette. This is one of my first ever Colorpop eyeshadows, and I love this palette. These two are not going anywhere. And when I say two, I mean that it came released in 2 different palettes. So it was a blue one and like a more orangey one. I love these, so these are definitely not going anywhere. I'm so bad at this video. I actually thought I was going to be great and like give them all away, but nope. This is my newest addition. This is the Revolution Reloaded Neutrals 2 palette. This is just a beautiful, if I can open it. Okay, I can't open it, but you can see from here, it's just a beautiful neutral pinky bronzy type palette. This is brand new, not going anywhere. This is a mini Morphe Z palette, which looks like this. This has a bunch of, I think it's MAC eyeshadows. Yeah, MAC eyeshadows, a MAC blush, and a under eye setting powder. This is again another palette that I completely forgot about because it's in a, like, it doesn't have a cover, so I just don't seem to reach for it. But I'm definitely keeping this one because obviously I've paid for all of these eyeshadows. It's definitely not going anywhere. Next one is my Anastasia Rivera palette, which looks like this. Keeping this one because you would be dumb to give it away. Next one is this Desert Oasis palette by BH Cosmetics, which looks like this. This is such a underrated palette. It has the most beautiful transitional colors ever. These highlights are great. These 2 blues are stunning. This is just such a nice palette for the price. And this pink shade here is so pretty. Look at that. Is that not the prettiest thing you have ever seen? So yeah, this one is still pretty new to my collection as well. I mean, I only bought it, I want to say earlier this year. So yeah, this one is not going anywhere either. The next palette is the Kylie Jenner Chill Baby palette. I've never used this in a video, but I love this palette. I might bring it out and do a tutorial on it. I know it's not available, but it's still such a beautiful palette. Yeah, I love these shades. And then the lucky last one is the LA Girl Island Hottie palette, which looks like this. This is just a beautiful blush palette, and this is still brand new to my collection. I only bought it last month, so this one's definitely not going anywhere either. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. Out of all my palettes, I'm literally just going to reconsider keeping these 5. That's it, just 5. This was a fail, literally a fail. I just don't have the heart to throw away my babies. Like, I just don't. Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. I'm sorry for the really lame outro. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!